Wowzers! Golly gee, it's almost time for the sock hop. I gotta pick up Sally at 6 if we're gonna get a vanilla melt before the soda jerk at the soda jerk before the dance. I sure hope Dad lets me borrow the Bel Air. I've been practicing my dance moves all week. I could do the twist, the jitterbug, and twerking. Shit's gonna be tight. But I have to tune into my favorite radio show before I go. The Attack of the Killer podcast, brought to you by Salem Cigarettes. Because this episode, they're going to be talking about films from 1959 on this episode of Attack of the Killer podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer podcast. 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 Yay.
Welcome to another vintage episode of Attack of the Killer podcast. I'm your host, Insane Mike. This is episode 282, and we are going to be talking about horror films from 1959. And when I say episode 282, that actually means 283.
Yep. Everybody knows that.
Anyway, so off to a roaring awesome start.
Welcome back, Mike. Welcome back.
Thanks. Attack of the Killer podcast is a horror movie podcast where a group of friends, we get together, we pick a topic, and we discuss films within that topic, whether it be, 1959 or whatever.
All those other things?
But why 1959?
That's a good question.
Was that when you were born?
No,
see?
it was not.
You graduated.
And it starts. It fucking starts.
Yeah, well, you knew it.
But maybe by the end of this episode, you will totally understand why we picked 1959. Now, if you like the show, I ask you to consider on supporting us. You can go to jointheattackers.com and check out the tiers, and you can pick one and then show your support. And when you do support the show, you become a member of the Attack of the Killer podcast family that we call the Attackers. When you become an attacker, you are able to get all kinds of extra content and treats. Yes, treats. You can get bonus episodes, our videos like Insane Mike's Women in Top 10 list, video updates, and killer critiques. You can get your very own membership card, certificate, and sticker. There's also exclusive invites to our watch parties, our monthly horror hangouts, and even our exclusive chat called Attack of the Killer Chat. There are so many perks of becoming an attacker, so just go to jointheattackers.com and pick the tier to receive the content you want. You can become an attacker like these awesome people.
All right, I just wanted to give a shout out to, we got Jacob McLaughlin, Timothy Lennerer, Roman Doppelfeld, Larry Watanabe, Brett Royer, Seth Key, Jessica Irish, Chris Cook, Brian Godsell, Stephen Sitter, Brandy Moore, Andrew Moeller, Rod Hutchinson, Carmen DeHague, Abraham Arellano, Jacob Book, Andrew Bentler, Casey Kelderman, Tony Miller, Mike Clayton, Rose Talashoma, Marcus Rude, Abe Kirshner, Lisa Cavalier, Holly Berg, and Emily Randolph.
I've heard a couple of those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
So thank you all, attackers, for supporting the show. And I will thank you, too, if you go to jointheattackers.com and become a member of the Attack of the Killer podcast family. And now, it is time to introduce you to the podcast crew. He truly believes there is more stuff on TV in the 1950s, mostly because today's TVs can't support the wait. Andy.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening.
He shares the same blood type with Fonzie from Happy Days. They're both type A. Jason.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in.
He's one cool cat. He's not a wet rag. He's the bee's knees. He really razzies my berries. Tad.
Hey.
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 Let's get serious for a moment.
Oh.
Attack of the Killer podcast is sponsored by Shudder. Shudder is the best of the best in horror streaming services. Classic horror films to Italian giallo movies podcasts, original programming, you name it. So much great content that would appeal to any and every type of horror fan. If you don't have Shudder, you should. If you're still not sure, you can check them out for a month for free, thanks to us here at Attack of the Killer Podcast. If you enter our promo code AOTKP, you will get a month of Shudder for free. Sign up for Shudder today, and you won't regret it. Speaking of regrets, here's Tad with what we watched.
Well, to lift the curtain a little bit, it's been a while since we recorded. It's actually been an extra week since we've recorded, so I'm expecting that this might go a little bit longer. But Andy, what have you watched?
Okay, I got a little bit of a list here. I of course went and saw Scream 6. Enjoyed it. It has a major tip of the cap to all the previous films, which I really enjoyed. I won't say that it's predictable, but it almost has it has a very similar storyline to the previous to a previous Scream film, and I'll just leave it at that. I'll let you guys figure it out.
Yeah, no spoilers, Andy.
What?
I'm not. Have any of you guys seen it?
Nope.
Saw it opening night, baby.
Okay, all right.
Recorded a podcast and released it already on the movie.
All right.
So if you
all
want
right.
my thoughts, go listen to First Time Podcast, available on the PFPN.
Plug?
Yeah. I don't. Go listen to it. I'm not going to talk about it on here. You got to go listen to the episode.
All right. I'll just leave it at that. I think I recommend it. It's good. Before that, I watched the previous Scream just as a primer and hint that will help. Went and saw Creed. What?
Nothing.
I also went and saw Creed 3. I know that Tad's a Rocky fan.
Saw
have you
that
seen
last
it yet?
night. Saw it last night.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Mr. Moneybags going to the movie.
I actually prefer the second Creed to this one, but it's still pretty good. You know,
Missed Stallone.
No.
yeah. No Rocky.
First time.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's also Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's not bad, but I prefer the previous film. I also watched Sick on Hulu. I think Tad has seen this, right?
Yep.
Have any of you other guys seen it yet?
Nope.
Okay. It's good. I enjoyed it.
Pretty
it's
sick,
also,
bro.
Yeah, right. It's also very relevant to the times now, and I'll leave it at that. You'll be able to pinpoint it once you watch it. The wife and I watched Slayers on Hulu. Have you got any of you guys seen this?
Nope.
Nope, but I like the
Slayers?
band.
Yeah.
I have not seen it.
It's basically it's a vampire movie with Thomas Jane and Malin Ackerman. And it's about these vampires, wanting to continue their life, and they have to do it with like a specific bloodline. And basically, Thomas Jane is like the prototypical, my daughter died and I have to get revenge vampire killer. I mean, the one thing I have to complain about this movie is that the character development isn't very, it's not very good, and it's very, very fast moving. It's watchable, but it's not great in my opinion. You can check it out. I also, since I've been home a lot, I also watched the first and second season of Mindhunter, which I fucking loved.
So good.
Fantastic.
Everything in that series is just on point with the time. All the cars, every piece of furniture, every piece of kitchenware, the houses. everything is all in the 70s, and that's what I loved about it. Which turned out, the more I looked into like season 3, what I love about it is the exact same reason why they didn't make another. They're not making another season, because the production cost is like insanely high to do that kind of stuff, which is kind of bums me out. But I really enjoyed that. Plus, it's David Fincher. I watched, since I'm on an Italian movie kick, I watched hopefully I'm saying this right, Anthrophagus.
Close enough.
Anthropomorphous.
Yeah, well,
Oh, goodness.
basically, it's, from what I can tell, I'll put it to you like this: it's like Happy New Year, only there's a cannibal on the island. It's not bad, it's not great either. I also I've been wanting to see this forever, and it's a very 70s grindhouse movie. It's called Amazing Mr. No Legs.
Oh, I've heard of that.
And yeah, it's a crime movie, but basically, and it's about drug smuggling. And the head drug dealer, he has this enforcer who, and I was always under the impression that this enforcer, the guy, Mr. No Legs, was like the protagonist, but he's not. He's like the lead baddie. He's the enforcer for this drug cartel, and he has 2 double-barrel shotguns in the armrest of his wheelchair. How could you not want to watch this? This is awesome, and it even gets better, right? It turns out the boss turns on this Mr. No Legs, and he gets knocked out of his chair, and he starts doing kung fu next to this poolside, and he kicks these guys' ass all while doing like the Bruce Lee, wah, bullshit. It's hilarious to watch. I don't care if I'm going to hell for laughing at that shit, because it's funny. And here's the capper. You know who it was directed by? Rico Browning, the Creature of the Black Lagoon, directed this shit.
Nice.
Wow.
All right. Okay, now
R.I.P. He just recently passed, right?
Yeah, maybe that's
Yes.
why I've heard of that movie before. I think, yeah, maybe on another podcast when they talked about him passing.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching, man. It's a good time. And then I watched another movie called House of Darkness on Hulu, and I was so excited for this because it had Kate Bosworth and Justin Long, and it had the title that something Hammer would have used in the early 70s. This movie pisses me off.
Oh no!
It should have been called Weird, Awkward Talking Heads in a mansion, and that's all it was. It was basically Justin Long trying to get laid with this chick, and then these more girls keep coming in, and they just keep having weird. Nothing happens. They just talk. All it is just, and I was so bummed out because like I said, they were checking off all the boxes. Justin Long, scary house, blah, blah, blah. But it was just them just talking the whole time, just having weird conversations. And, you don't have to be a literary genius to where they're going, when they say their names. These girls' names are Mina and Lucy. Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is what these tip in the cap to. It ends up these 3 sisters are vampires, and they end up biting Justin Long in the end. And the gore there at the end is actually pretty good, but then just the movie ends. So basically, it is literally an hour and 25 minutes of fucking talking just to get to some good stuff.
But there is good stuff.
For like maybe 2 or 3 minutes at the end when I'll spoil it because fuck this movie. It's basically Justin Long gets bit in the neck, and he does a little bit of hallucinating midterm in the movie, which isn't even very good anyway. Do not watch this movie. It's fucking awful. And that's what I watched.
All right, Jason, I highly doubt you watched any of those movies. What have you watched?
That's true. I did not. I watched The Whale.
Fuck yeah.
Sweet.
Pretty amazing.
Did you cry?
Fuck yeah. Like
I
a
knew it.
baby. Yeah, so freaking good. Knock at the Cabin.
Oh,
Loved it.
I still got to see that. It's on my list.
Well, Mike, it's just I thought you were a fan.
I didn't realize it was out.
It's
It's
well, it
out
is, but not for
on streaming now.
yeah.
Okay.
You'd have.
Knock at the Cabin is?
Yeah,
Wow.
been out for. It went to streaming like 3 weeks after it hit theaters.
And then, sorry to spoil one for you, Mike, but Mike and I went and saw 65.
Yay!
Me too.
Yep.
Hell
Yep.
yeah.
Saved my Scream money to go to 65 instead. That's where I support.
That's right.
Saw them both.
Well, Tad doesn't have kids, so he can afford it. So,
Neither do you. Shut up.
so yeah,
I don't have any that I know about.
65 was amazing.
Very
and,
fun.
I know it's hard to tell the biases from, but I mean, just as a movie, I had a blast. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And
It's action packed. It doesn't slow down.
I'll proudly admit that I definitely have a man crush on.
We all know you do.
Yeah,
Arnie.
so it's like I was gonna like it anyway, no matter what. But anyway, yeah, freaking loved it. It was great, and that's what I watched.
All right, Mike. Apparently, you haven't gone to the theater at all. But what have you watched?
Well, oddly enough, I also saw 65.
Whoa!
What?
I thought it looked like you.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was definitely a lot of fun. Yeah, I had a couple nice little jump moments.
Oh fuck, man!
Watching
Jesus
Jason
Christ.
jump out of his seat there a few
I
times. was great.
literally probably peed a little.
So I had some good misdirection that led to some good jumps. But yeah, effects were great. Definitely proud of my boys. They did an awesome job.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other thing I've had a chance to see in 3 weeks is other than reruns of The Office on Comedy Central in the hotel room all week long, was Cocaine Bear. Did go see Cocaine Bear.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was awesome. It was everything I expected it to be as soon as I sat down. So it delivered, and just pretty exciting to see Elizabeth Banks, in the director's chair. And I looked; she had actually has directed quite a bit more than I thought. So sadly, she doesn't make an appearance. So she's one of those actors turned directors that doesn't force themselves into the movie. So that's,
She forced
that could be
herself
good,
into the Charlie's Angels
Angels.
reboot.
Yeah.
Oh, did she?
But she was Boz. Yeah.
Was that any good? Because I
wouldn't
never.
know.
Okay.
I thought it was all right.
Oh, was it?
I like Kristen Stewart, so
Yeah, that was good. Action packed.
I hadn't seen it, but I heard that not a lot of people have.
It's true.
I kind of forgot it existed until I looked up what else she directed. Oh, yeah, but it was it was definitely a lot of fun. A lot of really great funny moments, but a lot of good character moments too.
some good gore.
And lots of great gore, very good,
Oh,
cool
yeah.
gore, absolutely. And I just love it because it just so felt like a nod to 70s, even though the film is an 80s film, but it totally felt like a 70s animal attack movie to me. And
Plus, I think
love
Martha
that genre.
Martindale adds to anything.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Oh yeah. Anyway, that's what I watched. That's it. But Tad, what did you watch?
Oh, well, I'm going to make up for you and Jason's short list because I watched 49 Oscar nominees, and I'm going to go through all of them. No,
Jesus.
I'm
Did
not
that
going
already.
to. I did not finish all of them. Like, I've seen more since the last time we recorded because I had to squeeze in as many as I could. But I'm going to skip those and go straight to, I saw Scream 6, really, really liked it. Had a blast in a packed theater seeing a slasher movie. I love this franchise. I love Radio Silence is killing it. Sorry, Wes Craven, but their sequels are better than some of yours. I don't know. I won't get into that. You can listen to my full podcast for my thoughts, but I really, really like this. And taking it to New York, really cool idea. Well executed. Showed us how to take a slasher sequel to New York. Jason Voorhees. Sorry.
I didn't know Woodsboro connected to New York.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
They go there for college, so
They took a cruise ship there, actually.
yeah, just right up the lake.
And half the movie was on the cruise ship.
No, that's what they make some jokes, like sort of nods to Jason Takes Manhattan, and sort of like a kid is watching the movie in that movie, and there's some little nods to
Yeah.
Friday the 13th
nice.
2.
Awesome.
There's a nod to Friday the 13th Part 2. There's about a million awesome horror references on a subway scene on Halloween, where like
Oh, yeah.
people are wearing Halloween costumes, and it's like a Ready Player One where you had to hit pause and like, holy shit, look at all these fucking costumes. Is that Sonic the Hedgehog? Is that the girl from Ready or Not? Is that like everything? Just crazy. But
Awesome.
yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I also saw 65 to even out the box office.
Good.
I really enjoyed that. It felt like maybe the studio tampered with it a bit because it was
Studios do that?
it was so short. Like
Yeah,
It was,
there was no fat on that movie.
no,
Sure.
like it could have used maybe a little bit more because it was like I mean I guess I sort of appreciate that it leaves a lot open to interpretation, but it's like they don't. I mean they don't even cook the characters. It's like here they are. Here's the big thing that happens before the title of the movie comes up.
yeah.
The major event happens in the movie, and then it's like right into. I hate that people are even mentioning Jurassic Park when they talk about this because it's such a night and day thing. Just because
Oh yeah.
Jurassic Park wasn't the first dinosaur movie and not the only one. This is a whole different level. This is really cool sci-fi thriller, suspense, just a lot of great Adam Driver and very awesome to basically have two characters. We have like a little cave girl with Adam Driver, and we have some tender moments and some tense moments and very heavy. But like I said, they do not waste a minute because the movie's it's like 90 minutes, right? Or like an hour 40 something. It's really short. Perfect popcorn flip. They should have put this out in the summer instead of putting it up against Scream. That's really stupid of them. Of Sony. Not
You know what the biggest thing I appreciated out of the movie is that they brought quicksand back into
Yes,
movies.
it's scary.
It's
again.
about time
Yes.
there's quicksand again.
more than one scene, and it definitely had a never ending story moment, and then like went into a Land Before Time moment.
Yeah.
There was a moment that made Nikki almost cry, but then I
She
guess
never cries.
like my that's true, but my list is like just basically what all you guys watched, because then I watched Cocaine Bear at home last night or 2 nights ago. I don't know, maybe it was I try not to let hype get to me.
Expectations get to
Yeah, but I thought the bear looked pretty silly. Like, I know they're being praised for they're using motion capture and not a real bear, so PETA is all about it, which is fine, but it looks like one step above a Asylum movie, I felt.
Oh, that's kind of harsh. I mean, I agree. There was maybe a couple moments where CGI wise it kind of stood out, but I thought there was a lot of scenes that it looked really good. I think the biggest thing that could take you out of it being a CGI bear is that there's a lot of moments in the movie where the bear moves way more like superhero action
Fluidly, yeah.
poses instead of like a really clunky bear with a lot of like
Weight. Doesn't feel like it has a weight to it, yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't mind seeing parkour bear action. I was cool with that.
And I felt like the humor for me was very off. Like, I wanted to laugh a lot, and the cop that was sort of after Ray Liotta's character, his whole thing with like this little dog, I did not laugh at all at any of that. And the kids were funny to me. The 2 kids like cussing and trying coke and shit, that was funny. That was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
That the cop side story I did not care for. I liked Ice Cube's kid and his little group. That his like
Those
sarcasm, his stoic presence was really great to counteract the zaniness of the movie.
Yep.
I like not getting fucking stabbed.
I just felt like the humor was a bit of a miss for me in spots. Like it fell flat with that, like I said, with that cop. But in the park ranger, I didn't like her either.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the park
Oh.
ranger lady either.
You didn't like her?
I think I see Tad's point in at least with her character, because there was a lot of moments with her that I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be funny, but I'm not laughing.
It was like they were trying to do the broken lizard thing, but it wasn't funny. You know, it was like, oh, look at like her and she's flirting with the guy who comes to visit, you know, and with a bad like bowl cut and like that. Yeah, their chemistry was not for me. She just, I don't know.
Which Brandy pointed out to me after the fact. That's one of the guys from that's the redheaded guy from the gay couple in
Halloween?
Modern Family.
Modern Family. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
So,
even
yeah.
recognize him. Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely worth watching. I'm glad I didn't see it in the theater. Glad I watched it at home. I'm sure in like a packed theater, it was probably a
I was
blast.
gonna say, you
opening
probably would
night.
have had more fun with it if you saw it in the theater.
Maybe,
don't know.
yeah, it was okay. And then I saw Creed 3 last night. Like Andy, I liked it. There has yet to be, even the worst Rocky movie is a good movie to me. Love this franchise, but I felt the story, even for a Rocky movie, was a bit unbelievable.
Yeah.
A little bit of a spoiler here. Basically, like Michael B. Jordan, who plays Adonis Creed, he's retiring. One of his sort of friends from when they were kids comes back around out of prison. It's like that stereotypical thing where it's like, oh, you left me down in prison while you went up and got rich and famous, and now I'm asking you for a handout. And suddenly this thing that's haunting from his past, this guy walks from never having a professional bout to getting a title fight. And I know that's the story of Rocky, the underdog story. But as a fan of boxing and a fan of combat sports, immediately I was like, one, like that never happens, and two, like an athletic commission would never, ever, ever sanction that bout. It would just, it's impossible. It's just such a stretch to make the story that I just could not look past that. But
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me. It takes like kind of like the storyline of like Rocky 3 and combines it with the Count of Monte Cristo to me a little. bit.
yeah, I can see that. Where Rocky's gotten too rich for his own good and is getting soft, and so something
And
a
he's
rough
wants to retire.
right, and a rough thing from his past. This next big thing comes through. Yeah, but
He's like
I mean,
Clever Lang. He's counter Lang.
right. And I thought Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan were both awesome. Tessa Thompson's awesome. It's still a great movie. Some great scenes. The big boxing scene at the end they did something different for the first time, which is really cool. Took it in sort of a different direction. I just wish boxing was as exciting as any of the fights in these movies. These guys just do not block anything. Just back and forth. It's awesome.
Slugfest.
But I still enjoyed it. I'm glad I saw it in theaters because I've seen all the Creed movies and Balboa in theaters. So that's what I watched.
Awesome. Thanks, Tad.
You're welcome.
Now it is time to go back in time to 1959. Talk about some movies from that wonderful, wonderful year, 1959.
You sound like you remember it. Stop saying it like
Don't. Andy, what is the first movie we're going to be talking about?
All right, tonight we're gonna party like it's 1959, and this is Horrors of the Black Museum.
If you have nerve enough, come down these stairs with me to the Black Museum. And if you dare, look around this chamber of horrors. You will see the lethal possessions of a man possessed with murder.
As this is a U trailer advertising an X certificate film, we regret we cannot show you now the scene as it appears in the picture.
You sensation! Killer strikes again! We have to tell you the story of a man whose hobby is murder. A killer who held London in terror.
We repeat, as this is a U trailer advertising an X certificate film, we regret we cannot show you now the scene as it appears in the picture.
Here was a modern Jekyll and Hyde who killed so that he could write with relish about his victims and his crimes.
Clever. Fiendishly clever.
Ingenious enough to give us the third brutal murder in 2 weeks.
Aren't these similar to the pair you have in your Black Museum?
Starring Michael Gough, a killer who shopped for his weapons in London's backstreet antique shops.
To experience all the horrors of the Black Museum, you must see the complete film.
June Cunningham, the blonde who got to know him too well and talked too much.
You thief!
Oh, come on, dearie. Show me how fast you can chase him around the room now.
Give me back my cane!
Not until I've told you everything. Been saving it up for you. Without your cane, you're only half a man. Without your money, you'd be no man at all.
Graham Kerno, the boy hypnotized into obeying his master's murderous voice. Shirley Ann Field, innocent victim of young love, enticed into the nightmare horror of the Black Museum.
Wait! Why did you bring a stranger down here, you stupid fool? You know I never allow any outsider to snoop around my workshop. This Black Museum is our private world. And now, thanks to you, it has been invaded. There it goes!
All right, now that the trailer has basically just told you the whole movie, I will read you the synopsis. A frustrated thriller writer wants accurate crimes for his next book, so he hypnotizes his assistant to make him commit the required crimes. Okay, I gotta say, 3 minutes in, I'm laughing my balls off, and I'll tell you why. Basically, when there was a girl, she gets a package, and it's a pair of binoculars, and it's got knives in the eye holes, and it gouges her eyes out. And of course, her other girlfriend's there, and she sees this, right? And she goes out of the room, and she throws her head back in such dramatic fashion before she exits the door. It's hilarious. Jim Carrey couldn't have done it better. This movie has, was that Michael Gough is his name?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't realize that he was Alfred in the first, all the Tim Burton Batmans and the Joel Schumacher ones.
Yep.
I didn't realize that until I looked more into this. But upon watching this, I realized that this movie borrows quotation fingers heavily from House of Wax. You've got a guy who's physically impaired, and then he's got like this bubbling cauldron in his Black Museum, and then he's got an assistant which is basically doing the crimes for him because he injects him with like this Dr. Jekyll whatever serum, but that's not what's important. Basically, his assistant is basically Charles Bronson's role in House of Wax, and then basically in the Wax one, he recreates the crimes, and it's just I saw a lot of similarities in this. And of course, anybody that finds out what he's doing gets killed too, and yeah, I mean, I liked it. It was okay. But yeah, I just thought it was a revamp of House. It's a revamp of House of Wax to me, just told slightly different. What did you guys think?
I totally see that.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm watching it and I'm comparing it a lot to, and I feel like the director probably borrowed a lot from this movie, and that's Incredibly Strange Creatures Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies by Ray Dennis Steckler, because that has kind of the same thing where the killer is just somebody who's normal by day but then hypnotized by night committing these murders. And in Incredibly Strange Creatures, it all takes place in a carnival where, the latter half they end up at a carnival in this movie. So I don't know. That was my comparisons.
Also good. It's a good one.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with this movie.
But
I didn't hate it.
Gosh dang, guys! This one, not to. Tad's mentioned it before, where like you have a hard time like not looking at your phone. This one was it for me, man.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely, me too.
struggled so
me
hard
too.
Yeah,
Me too.
to
Big
pay
time.
attention.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
And I didn't think anything was bad, and the stuff's cool, and the killing and the stuff, it's just, but man, it was hard to pay attention to.
Yeah, this era of British horror just focuses way too much on the detective work.
Yep.
And just long conversations
Which is fine.
between
Logs.
Yeah.
It's a slog.
But how about that dance scene, right?
Yes, and I love these old movies where a dance can break out at any time. Fuck yeah.
An old man swinging the cane at her when she grabs it, and she's like, just such a badass. Like, she does not take his shit. I love it.
And with all three of these movies tonight, there's something that happens in all three of them is just the way a man and a woman used to kiss in the movies back then. It was just, you just push each other's faces together and then don't do too much and then back off. Man, it's so, I just laugh every time. It's so not real. But anyway.
And there's always the British guy with like the 2 streaks of gray hair down the sides. Yeah.
Looking like the Green Lantern. Yeah.
Yeah, this felt like a Mod Podge of several other movies from the time. And that's not necessarily bad. I just, like Jason, I struggled to pay attention where the others I did not so much. And maybe because one has subtitles, but out of the three, probably my least favorite, but not saying it's I'm not saying that as in like it's bad. I probably won't go out and try to find this on Blu-ray or anything. Something I watched once and can check it off the list.
Agreed. I feel like I'm on the same page as you guys. It's a little on the slow side. It's not a bad movie, but it is definitely on the bottom of the movies for tonight's episode. It's because there's some cool nuggets in there, like especially when we get to some of the kills. I kind of like the knives and the binoculars gag.
I dug that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or when the
terrifying.
The over the top cartoon electricity when the cop gets electrified in the lab or whatever. That
Very
was
Looney
awesome.
Tunes, yeah.
Oh man.
That was awesome. And then the climax the climax lasted like 10 seconds, but
sounds about right. What?
But it was still pretty cool. So yeah.
And then the prisoner with the laser eyes, the one that was psychotic, saying he was doing all the killing.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. I'm like forgetting this movie as we talk about it.
Yeah,
so.
I'm glad. I'm glad I'm not Andy, because I would have been like read the synopsis and been like, I don't really remember much outside of a few key scenes.
Well, that's basically kind of what I'm going on, but I just couldn't get over the fact how there were so many similarities to House of Wax in this for me. That's what really stuck.
But I enjoyed a lot of the times when Alfred the Butler was on screen, because he just screamed and yelled at everybody through this whole movie. It was
swung
awesome.
canes and
swung his cane.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
He's very Dr. Loomis.
6 times. Do we have any trivia for this one, Tad?
There is so much trivia on this movie. I will try not to go overboard, but I guess since we sort of went short on it, I can read a little bit more. This was the first American international release to be in both color and CinemaScope. This
Colors
is
are really
interesting.
saturated. I thought.
Yeah, it felt like
Is that
maybe
old?
it was like done in, like when you watch a movie, it's like Night of the Living Dead in color. It felt.
Yeah.
A stunt for the U.S. release by Ruth Polog, head of AIP Publicity New York, backfired. She reported that Herman Cohen had lost the actual binoculars at the airport, unwittingly sparking tabloid front-page headlines and an extensive police search, costing the city a great deal of money.
Oh, man.
Whoopsie. Herman Cohen wanted Vincent Price or Orson Welles for the lead. While he claimed they were too expensive, it is also true that by having a British actor as well as director and other crew, he could take advantage of the tax breaks provided by the Eddie Levy design to assist filmmaking in Britain. So would Vincent Price or Orson Welles have added to this? Maybe, but the lead wasn't the problem for me. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. Yeah.
To increase his take, Herman Cohen produced the anamorphic widescreen low-budget The Headless Ghost to serve as the bottom of a prepackaged double feature with this film. So he made a whole other movie, a very low-budget whole other movie just to package it with this as a double feature, which is crazy.
Interesting, because that kind of parallels one of the other movies we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah. And then the last bit I had, Herman Cohen claimed that the Hypno Vista segment was removed from television prints because people could actually become hypnotized. The segment contained images that would have been too disturbing for American television at the time. The FCC actually passed regulations prohibiting the showing of actual hypnosis techniques on television.
Give him a break, guys. It was the 50s.
Say William Castle didn't even have the balls to do that kind of shit.
It's the same era when they thought comic books caused juvenile delinquency. So.
Hey, yeah, you proved them wrong, Mike.
That's right. Wait, what? Awesome. Well, thanks for that fun trivia. The trivia was more exciting than the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Jason, what's our next movie we're
I'm
going to talk about?
so excited to talk about our next movie. It's star-studded. It's got Anthony Michael Hall, Justine Bateman, Michael McDonald, Will Ferrell, David Cross.
I think you watched the wrong one.
Oh, no. I'm just kidding.
Woo!
We're talking about A Bucket of Blood.
The artist, the poet, the figure model who loves to show it.
You suppose he could be physically attracted to her?
No, man, he ain't the type. He don't get enough vitamin E.
All these are beat. All these you'll meet in A Bucket of Blood.
Let us make the scene. Crazy.
Come, enjoy yourself. Where the hilarious enjoy the horrifying in A Bucket of Blood.
No, you're gonna shoot me! Don't shoot!
Come to the land of living dreams, where realists dream of the unreal.
Walter, you've done something to me. Something deep down inside of my prana. Oh, Walter, I want to be with you. You're creative.
Beatniks at their bawdiest. The creative urge at its most primitive.
I'm deeply moved, and I shall compose a poem.
Love is art. Art is love. It's the weirdest and the wildest.
I don't want to make statues anymore. I want to get married. To you.
Nerdy Walter Paisley, played by Dick Miller. A bumbling busboy at a beatnik cafe who doesn't fit in with the cool scene around him attempts to woo his beautiful coworker Carla by making a bust of her. When his klutziness results in the death of his landlady's cat. He panics and hides its body under a layer of plaster. Totally plausible. But when Carla and her friends enthuse over the resulting artwork, Walter decides to create some bigger and more elaborate pieces using the same artistic process. Directed by the legend Roger Corman. Distributed American International Pictures. Budget of $50,000. Box office $180,000. Made some money. Dick Miller starring role. I know that's the main reason, right?
Well, there's 1,000
Yeah.
reasons. I'll get into it.
This movie's pretty
eventually.
great. I've seen it before and still good. And Dick Miller's actually great in it.
When you started off right before you played the trailer and you were, citing the remake.
Yeah, how was that not good?
I was worried there for a minute. I'm like,
did you
what? Did I not put the year?
That's the name of
the year of the movie in the list of movies?
You didn't.
Well, wait a minute. Oh, wait, that's the title of the episode.
That's all I wanted was to maybe get you, so that's good.
No, that remake is a lot of fun too.
Is it
and
good?
It's weird because you just don't expect to see
those people
together. Like, yeah, Will Ferrell showed.
Meg Stoll's in there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I think I still prefer the original.
Paul Bartel?
Yeah, Paul Bartel's in there.
Darcy DeMoss?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
It's oddly filled with... And it's hard to find because, I mean, it's on Tubi, but it's under the title The Death Artist and not Bucket of Blood, so... But I think that was made during the era when Roger Corman produced... like about 6 or 7 remakes for either, I think, Showtime, maybe.
It's under TV movie, 95.
And Michael McDonald from Mad TV directed it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Holy shit!
That too. And
maybe we should do a sequels episode.
Yeah, can we? I'm curious now, morbidly curious.
I had no idea this even existed.
Me either. I thought Jason was just fucking with us.
No, those people are in this.
Yeah, it's wild. I'm looking at the IMDb. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
And it's the only one of those remakes that Roger Corman produced for this like series of films for Showtime that didn't just recycle footage from the others, because they did a Piranha one, they did a Humanoids from the Deep one, and all of them all the money shots were just recycled from the original film. But you can't do that with this one because the original's black and white, and you were in the remakes in color, so it's all new material, and it's pretty good. Yeah, it's The Death Artist if you guys want to check it out, or maybe I should put it on another list for the show. But we're talking about this one,
right? 1959. Everybody seen it before? First time for anybody?
I've seen it before, and I was happy to revisit this one.
First time for me, actually.
Oh, cool.
How fucking great is it to see Dick Miller in a lead?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He's so good.
Absolutely.
I love that
Love
man.
that guy.
Missed the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And proof that Dick Miller, for me, this movie here is proof that Dick Miller just will illuminate any movie. Like, he will steal the show in any movie because he's basically playing kind of the same dumb-witted character as the sister movie to this, the original Little Shop of Horrors, that the character that Seymour in that one. But Dick Miller's performance just overshines the other guy, Jonathan. I can't remember the guy who plays Seymour's name, of course, but just totally outshines him as playing basically the same type of character. This dim-witted guy that the horrors happen by happenstance.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that this movie just blatantly makes fun of the Beatnik scene.
Oh yeah, hardcore.
It's turns into like a SNL sketch almost.
Yeah, I mean the fact that they're just making fun of these people, especially the spoken word guy. It's just he's so fucking pretentious that he just goes, I don't like repeating myself, it's just a waste of time, I'm like, are you fucking for real?
It's like in that opening scene when Walter calls him out, he's like, I thought you said life is a blah blah blah, and the guy is correcting correcting Walter, even though he's just been caught in his own bullshit.
Yeah, just they throw together this word salad, and they think that what they say is so poignant. It's like they're so full of their own shit they actually believe it.
Yeah, sort of a satire on that whole scene, which is this is like
Yeah.
not just a horror movie, but also like a black comedy satire, which I love.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like it leans more into the comedy than the horror, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen this before. Really loved it. Like I said, love Dick Miller as a lead. I just the way that this sort of falls together. It's almost Tucker and Dale, where he just like keeps accidentally, and then it's like it advances his career, and suddenly everybody starts liking him. So then he's like, "Oh shit, I gotta keep topping myself." I love the scene where the cop is like, that's what was it like? Was it cocaine or heroin? He was like,
it was horse.
Yeah, horse.
Yeah, yeah. and he's like, well, what are you arresting me for? It's not my. I didn't. It's just he plays that so well where he's just like, innocent. You almost feel for him.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why is he getting arrested? You know him. You know the story that it was tucked into his pocket. He's too dumb to realize what it is, and too dumb to realize he shouldn't pull it out in front of you. And then, he ends up accidentally killing him and turning him to art. And obviously, like, as someone who's went to school for art, and you guys understand this too, it's just like these pieces are so unbelievable. Like, what is it? Like, no one questions, the sculpture, but it is funny that it like puts the mirror on the art scene, and it's like people are finding meaning in the dumbest of things, where he's literally murdering people and like plastering them, and they're like, oh, they're finding meaning out of nothing, and that's what's funny about it. That's what I sort of want to see this reboot. I imagine with Michael McDonald directing and a cast that it almost has to ramp that up, where it makes fun of that even more. So,
plus I love when you mentioned the cop scene. I haven't done a line of the movie in a long time, but I gotta say my favorite line in this movie. Who's the girl that gave him the heroin?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Well, whatever. But anyway, he says that was so nice of her to give me that expensive horse. Just the way that he delivered that line. It's like, man, that was so nice of her to give me that expensive horse, and he just turns away because he's so clueless about what the fuck is going on.
It's so innocent. Like, so, what's the word I'm looking for? Like
naive.
Like just so perfectly innocent and naive, and in his deliverance, and then later on with the girl that's flirting with him, and it's just this poor innocent nice guy.
He just wants to fit in,
right? Yeah, he just wants friends and he wants people to like him, and but it's funny.
Yeah, I love this movie. I've seen it dozens of times. Like at one point I don't anymore. I couldn't even begin, but at one point I had memorized that opening poem there. And not only I think is this just a hilarious satire on the Beatniks scene and everything like that, I kind of feel like it's never been confirmed, but I've never been able to confirm it anyway, but I have always felt like this movie was kind of like autobiographical for Roger Corman, in the fact that here is a filmmaker who loves his craft, he loves what he's doing, he thinks he's making art, but he's making but in the back of his mind, what is his peers thinking? Because he's making all these like schlocky B pictures and everything. So I kind of felt like it was a little on the autobiographical side. But yeah, and I love this era of Roger Corman / kind of this era of late 50s through the early 60s of of horror or B grade movies where they with the jazzy score. I just love that jazzy score throughout this movie, which I think is almost the same score used for Little Shop of Horrors, honestly.
It is exactly the same score. That's part.
There you go.
That was in the trivia. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm trying not to get into trivia spoiler territory because there's There's a lot of significance of this movie in the Roger Corman lore. But this is it, guys. This is the beginning of Walter Paisley. Like, how many times since then has Dick Miller played a character named either Walter Paisley or Walter or Mr. Paisley?
This is the first of 10.
10, huh? 10's the official count?
Yes.
I believe he was Walter in Chopping Mall before he got electrocuted.
Yep, he was Walter in Chopping Mall. I think his name was Mr. Paisley in The Howling. I think in Night of the Creeps, I think his badge said W. Paisley or something like that on it. I'm trying to remember. Just a ton of movies. Well, 10.
7, 8, 9, 10. We did it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty low budget. What'd you say? 50,000?
50.
Yeah, it seems like it's less than that, but but it doesn't matter. I feel like the low budgetness of it works. It works for the film. But we'll probably learn more about that when we turn it over to Tad with trivia.
Well, I actually had like 3 pieces that we've already talked about, so I'm sort of scrolling through now. But not only was the music reused from Little Shop of Horrors, the sets for this film were used in Little Shop of Horrors, and also were previously used in The Diary of a High School Bride. So the sets were used 3 times in 2 years for 3 different movies. Pretty what would you say? Stretching that dollar from Roger Corman. Yeah, pretty efficient. Not cheap, efficient.
Thrifty.
Frugal.
Anthony Carbone spends the entire film limping and walking with a cane. Being a Roger Corman film, one might logically assume Carbone injured himself and just soldiered on. But the fact is, he was perfectly healthy and adopted the limp because he felt it would make his character more interesting. At the beginning of the original release, there was a promotion in the newspapers section and advertisers that said, if you bring a bucket of blood to your local theater's management, we will give you 1 free admission.
Oh my goodness!
Any kind of blood?
That I would never put that in the newspaper myself. I don't want to see what people show up with.
And the fact that they'll spill it all over your theater, yeah, forget that.
Dick Miller was unhappy with the impact of the low budget of the film. He felt the film had terrific potential to be a classic and liked the script and performances, but felt the lack of funding weakened some of the film's best moments.
Sounds like all actors.
He cited the conclusion of the film, saying that it suffered due to little time and money for makeup effects. Yeah. And then I guess this other one... Director Roger Corman and writer Charles B. Griffith went to coffee houses on the Sunset Strip to do research for the Beatnik characters they would create for the film.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I saw something here that Charles Griffith claimed Corman was very uneasy about the idea of making a comedy, quote, because you have to be good. We don't have the time or money to be good, so we stick to action. That's what Corman said.
Well, the interesting thing about this movie and why it keeps getting connected to Little Shop of Horrors is, using the same music, using the same sets. They were basically shot back to back. It was almost like it was like a joke. This movie was made out of a joke between I think Roger Corman and the producers of like, hey, you have this money to make this movie, which was Little Shop of Horrors. And Roger jokingly is like, I'll just make 2 movies with that. And basically that's what he did. And once they finished Little Shop of Horrors, which I can't remember if the Little Shop was shot in like 4 days or if it was Bucket of Blood that was shot in 4 days.
This was shot in 5 days, Bucket of Blood.
Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of then. But yeah. So this movie was like made almost as a joke.
Well, they actually would get confused before video and streaming. Both this film and Little Shop of Horrors were confused with one another because they both had Dick Miller, Myrtle Vale as the mother, had the same score, featured dim-witted hero who achieves unexpected celebrity, ends up killing people themselves, and to prolong their fame and hide their crimes. So
The
very,
plots are very similar when you strip away the
plant. Yeah, take the plant away, and it's funny. Yeah, just like classic Corman to do that, but he made two classics out of it, you know.
And well, I feel like Bucket of Blood's comedy is more in the satire, like of the beatnik community, and Little Shop, if you guys have never seen the original, definitely goes more into the absurdity horror or absurdity comedy. You know, because Dick Miller plays a character who eats flowers, and that's why he shops at the flower shop. You have basically a literal Dragnet parody characters that are in this movie. So much I think one of them's called Joe and the other one's called Friday or something like that. I can't remember, but which, you know, all that was gone when they did the musical. But yeah, I love both these movies. They are awesome that they are, you know, filmed back to back and do make a great double feature as well. Have all you guys seen the original Little Shop?
We watched it for the show not too long ago.
Yep.
And watched it on
did?
Joe Bob.
Yes, Mike. I was
Oh.
gonna
we
let
watched-
it go, and then you asked it.
I thought we watched the reboot.
Yeah, we watched the musical. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember us having a heck of a time finding a good copy. Oh, that was at your show. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, for
Tab played
the.
it. at his
Oh, okay.
That's what I was
Phew.
thinking of.
Well, I know Joe Bob had Roger Corbin on. It was like one of the pandemic episodes where they zoomed
That's
in,
right.
but and it was horrible quality on Shudder.
Oh yeah, Joe Bob's.
Really, and we watched it in a theater, so it was even worse. But just to hear Joe Bob and Roger Corman go back and forth was worth sitting through it. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So, Tad, what's the next movie we're going to talk about?
well, you won't guess, but this one's also from 1959. It is Caltiki, comma, the Immortal Monster.
Ages ago, in a long-lost part of the world, the Mayans worshipped a terrifying goddess. To her, men offered their strength and their devotion. Women offered the beauty of their bodies. Caltiki, the immortal monster. Today, courageous adventurers, dedicated scientists of both sexes, begin the exploration of recently discovered caverns, buried in the very womb of the earth. From space beyond space comes force beyond measurement, energizing this monstrous mass of man-eating protoplasm that devours every living thing it touches. When her mate appears in the sky, the power of Caltiki will destroy the world. You can believe what you like. Caltiki's been reborn.
All civilians are to remain in their homes until further order. Every precaution has been taken to combat the danger the city faces, and all citizens are urged to remain calm. That is all for now.
Can anything on this earth stop Caltiki, the immortal monster?
I don't know what was going on at the end of that trailer, but it sort of sounded like they were fucking Caltiki. A team of archaeologists in Mexico encounter an amorphous blob-like creature that appears to be connected with the collapse of the Mayan civilization. So is this like a spaghetti monster movie? It's supposed to take place in Mexico, but it's made by Italians.
Yep.
Uh,
And it
we
was
have
shot
a,
all in Italy too. Yeah.
yeah, but we have like a big, like weird blob-like creature. But this is actually pretty cool. Like I'll say, the title is original. Had my attention from the get-go. I turned it on. Was not aware that it was going to be subtitled. So, jokingly, sort of gave Mike crap for it earlier. But this is one way to make sure I pay attention to a movie is to put on those subtitles. And I found it actually like pretty charming. Like I thought this was really cool. Like this, I dug this. I mean, these movies from the 50s and 60s with the giant monster are a dime a dozen, but this is well done. I thought it was shot really well. Had some really tense moments. It was just different, and maybe it's that Italian feel to it or something, where it's not like the sort of like your intro, where it wasn't like car hops and G Willie and just the typical '59 stuff. Where there's no beatniks in this. This is like scientists and there's some marital disputes in there, some character conflict. But I thought this was pretty cool. What did you guys think? This is first watch for me.
So first time I saw this, yeah, I like that, just all the underwater, exploring and stuff, and just the whole, any of these kind of movies where you find some sort of ancient thing that should have been tucked away and you're not supposed to let it out and not supposed to screw with it. I always kind of like that aspect. I had a lot of fun watching, and I should be a little bit nicer, but I had a lot of fun with the miniature work that they did in this movie.
Yeah.
I found that, I found it kind of, it was more entertaining,
charming, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's, Caltiki, is apparently a very wet black towel from what I can tell, but it is what it is. But yeah, for what it was, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love the miniature work too, and I really appreciate. It might be easy to compare this to the Blob, because the creature concept is kind of similar. It's just big mass of whatever goo, and it like devours you when you touch it and whatnot. But unlike the Blob, it was like, and many other like large monster movies of this era, it's all in camera practical effects. So using miniatures and whatnot. I don't think, except for maybe the shot where it's coming over the hill and all the military people are in the foreground of the shot and it's coming over the hill. I think that might be the only superimposed shot. There's you don't even get like shots of like the actors in the frame, and then the blob creature in the Caltiki in the frame, and it's Caltiki superimposed. Like everything is done practical, and that is thanks to Mario Bava, who was originally hired to film all the effects works in this movie, and he's always been a filmmaker that will do his effects in camera, even if it's supposed to be like something that most normal people would do a superimposed shot. He'll figure out a way of doing a camera trick to do it all practically in camera and not have to do it in post. And from my understanding, I can't remember the director's original name, but he basically kind of just gave the reins over to Mario Bava. So I consider this a Mario Bava movie, even though he's
Ricardo
uncredited.
Frida.
It shows him uncredited on
IMDb. Yeah. And I first learned of this movie because of a documentary I saw about Mario Bava. And then they talked about Caltiki and how he kind of directed, a lot of the movie. So it goes in my, if I ever get a copy of this on Blu-ray, because I've been meaning to pick it up for a long time now, but it'll go on my Mario Bava shelf for sure. But I love this movie. I've seen it maybe a couple times. And those effects, man. 1959, how gruesome are those effects?
I know, like the arm.
Super sick.
Yeah,
The
I
arm-
loved it.
So gnarly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I couldn't
Agree.
believe
I
they were showing
forgot all
that.
about that.
Fuck. I mean, you see the face first, but then when they peel off the fucking arm, it's like,
Yeah.
gross.
It's just so gooey and everything. I loved it.
Ugh.
Or when the one guy is like totally consumed by Caltiki, they're closer to the third act, and it pulls back, and it's just that gooey
Blech.
skull. I mean, it's simple. It's just a skull, but the fact that the way they goo it up and everything just makes it so visceral and sick. I love it.
It sort of adds to like the black and white adds to it too, like
I
because
believe you're right. Yeah.
you don't see gore, a lot of like gore in black and white.
No.
Like it's something. It's like I don't know what it is, but it makes me uneasy. Like even more uneasy, maybe because it was like I'm picturing myself in that time era, how freaked out people probably
Oh
were
my
watching this
God.
shit. We're just so used to you know. A fake electric bolt hitting someone and they turn into a skeleton, you know, or I think about like House on Haunted Hill with the skeleton on a fishing wire, and it's like, this is a fucking melting arm in front of us. We're seeing visceral arm with still attached to the body, and holy shit.
Oh, the
only thing that kind of comes close that I can think of is the mask. Was it Black Sabbath?
Yeah, again, Mario Bava.
Yeah,
the steel mask.
Black Sunday.
Yeah, into the
Black
face.
Sunday. Sorry. Yeah. And that thing slams shut and just.
And then it just squirts out when they slam it on her face. Yeah. And Tad's right. Also Bava. Yeah.
I think also like Mike was saying about the practical effects, they not only Bava, you know, making them practical, but knowing the limitations and not trying to. It's like thinking about a shot. Well, this wouldn't look right with this actor with the creature because it might compromise it. So let's just not do it. It's like your mind doesn't think about that. At least my mind doesn't like think like, oh, you know, there's a reason they're doing this until after I watch it and realize like, oh, they knew their limits. But knowing your limits is important too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Mario was one of the best at manipulating what is seen through that camera, through that camera lens. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was first time for me. I agree with all the things you guys are saying. That arm was gross. I also, this one more than the others, I felt maybe had more of that actual 50s sci-fi science-iness to it that, you know, was just great from your 50s films. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. God, I'm excited everybody liked it. It's not very well known, and so I'm happy to give it some attention here on the show. Tad, what do you got for trivia?
There's all kinds of cool stuff. We sort of covered it already, but Ricardo Frida would later claim that he abandoned this project so that Mario Bava, who he knew would be a great director, would have a chance to direct. Yeah, good move on there. This is funny. The Caltiki monster was made from cloth and tripe. Everyone working with the filming of the monster complained about the terrible smell it let out, and flies were such a problem during filming of the tripe-made monsters that sometimes a fly would land on the monster during filming and it would reveal the actual size of it.
Awesome. Now I want to go back and watch it for flies.
Yeah, ruin the illusion. This is sort of fun and shows how resourceful they are, too. The car crashing over the cliff is taken from The Crimson Ghost in 1946. The volcano erupting during the credits show the same sparks flying into the air 9 times, and then a 10th time after Arturo Damascene climbs over the rocks after the credits. The sparks flying into the air are really an explosion from a war movie, so reused footage 10 times in this movie.
Awesome.
10 times.
10 times. Yeah, and Mike said this too. Even though the film is set in Mexico, it was shot entirely in Italy. Filming of the cave grotto, director Mario Bava thought the water was too still. To remedy this, he lobbed a few small stones into the water to make ripples. You can catch this being done when the search party first comes down the stairs of the cave. As Professor Fielding walks to the pool, you will see a few rocks thrown in the water from off camera.
Nice.
So love it.
Yes, love it. Man, and it just makes me want to watch more Bava.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I got that Bava box set I need to work on.
If only we had some Unwrapped episode coming up soon or something.
Maybe a little bit of influence on that, you know. But
all right. Well, thanks again for the trivia there, Tad.
Of course, you're welcome.
And folks, that is it for the films of 1959. There was only 3 that were made that year.
I don't. The shout outs prove you wrong.
Oh, okay.
I'll say, how many did Roger Corman himself make in 1959? You could just do a whole episode of Roger Corman 1959 part 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we're going to go back to the future and take a break so you can hear about our promo for our podcast network, the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. The PFPN is home to a long list of unique shows, such as Geeking Poetic. What do you get when you combine a long-haired guy with a copious amount of toys, a bald guy with a love for truly abominable movies, and for good measure throw in a wide-eyed girl that's dangerously close to stalker status of all things Chris Pine? You get the Geeking Poetic podcast. Join them as they weigh in on some of their favorite geeky and beyond topics, with just enough in common to like the same things but totally different perspectives. The guys will have a ton of subjects to debate. Check out Geeking Poetic and all the other shows at the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. Just go to thepfpn.com and enjoy. We will be back right after this.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to the show, and it's time to hear from you guys, the listeners. Here's Jason with shout-outs.
It's time for shout-outs! 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 Shout-outs!
All right, we asked, what are your favorite horror movies released in 1959? And here we go on our Facebook page. We got Jacob McLaughlin, Attacker. Jacob says, The Tingler!
Yeah, I love The Tingler.
Oh, it's so good. He says, a delightful B movie from gimmick master William Castle with a pretty fun performance from Vincent Price. The puppet of the
walls.
The puppet of the titular creature may not have much articulation, but there is something genuinely creepy about a bug-like monster that is the length of a medium-sized dog. I'm also partial.
Scream for your lives.
I'm also partial to Hammer's version of The Mummy. I think it easily surpasses Universal's original 1932 film.
Oh.
Bold statement.
Yeah.
Tim Lenner jumps in and says, also importantly, the Tingler puppet has Neopet feet. And then posts a picture of it. So Tim says,
You already knew that.
Okay, I'm going to give the bronze to the giant Gila monster solely because Gila monsters are awesome. The silver medal goes to A Bucket of Blood, where Dick Miller plays an incel decades before the term got coined, killing people to stay in with the in crowd. The gold medal, The Tingler! A complete mess held together entirely by the force of Vincent Price's performance. Plus, the audience participation segment is a complete hoot.
Yeah, it is.
We got Brian Clark.
Woo!
He says, House on Haunted Hill is one of, if not the very first, horror films I ever saw.
Oh, cool.
It remains a favorite of both Price and Castle's oeuvre. Caltiki the Immortal Monster is a classic of the murder jello subgenre. A milestone in the career of Mario Bava and has some fantastic miniature effects work in the finale. Curse of the Undead is a profoundly underrated entry in the Universal horror catalog and one of the earliest examples of genre mixing, as it's a horror western.
Sweet.
Curse of the Undead. Thanks, Brian. Up next, we got Lisa from the Bad Movie Bunny podcast. She says, The Wasp Woman, hands down. It's a lot of fun on the big screen. Sounds good.
God, isn't that another Roger Corman? I can't remember.
Probably. Sounds like one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know they made a remake.
Yeah.
Probably Roger Corman.
Nick Leadham says, Attack of the Giant Leeches inspired Jacob and I to record at least one song, if not more. Roger Corman, just kidding. Emily Randolph, new attacker Emily. Woo. She says, The Killer Shrews. I own this in a collection.
Yes.
Killer
I
Shrews.
love the Killer
Like
Shrews.
too
man.
much. It's weird.
A little too much.
And then we got attacker Hot Rod Hutchinson says, A Bucket of Blood, House on Haunted Hill, Return of the Fly, and The Tingler are my favorites for 1959. With so many creature features out, Dick Miller and Vincent Price owned that year. Need to revisit Plan 9 from Outer Space, though. Only seen it once. That was 59, too?
Wow, what a year.
Yeah, I was going to say, busy-ass year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there wasn't anything on Instagram or Twitter, but that red light is blinking.
Hey, everybody, Attacker Brian here. Sounds like this episode, we're going back to the year Mike and Jason were born, 1959. Watching some movies from their childhood. So when I think of 1959, I go to the Roger Corman classic starring Dick Miller, A Bucket of Blood. What's better than A Bucket of Blood? And some good old-fashioned artwork. I hope you guys take care and have a good day. Bye-bye.
I just erased that message.
Yeah, we need to block his number. Actually, that's what needs to happen. Oh my goodness. Well,
Did you guys take that on your rotary phone?
Come on.
Whatever.
And if you would like to leave mean-ass comments like that on a voicemail.
Don't encourage the listeners.
But we'll be happy to get voicemails.
Yeah, that's true.
You can give us a call at 415-952-6857 or 415-95-AOTKP. Leave those voicemails. We will play them, obviously, no matter how shitty mean they are, you turd. And that is shout-outs. But we are
Godzilla, I'm just going to probably speak for Tad and I. You know, you will probably get extra content from Tad and I, but yeah, Jason and Mike are probably going to, revoke your membership. So.
Well, all right, one more segment to go. We got a Saints Picks.
So as you know, currently here on the Saints Picks, we are talking about movies that fall into that category, but from a different genre than horror. I am going to be covering a Peter Jackson film this time around. But it's not going to be the obvious choice, like Meet the Feebles. I'm going
Lord
to be
of the
talking...
Rings.
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to be talking about his most unknown film. One that nobody ever talks about. I'm covering one of Peter Jackson's earlier works. It's a movie that is a mockumentary from 1995 called Forgotten Silver.
Woo!
Yes.
So good.
Yes.
The film is a fake documentary about the career of a supposedly forgotten pioneer in international cinema, Colin Mackenzie, who was allegedly born in rural New Zealand in 1888. In the movie, Peter Jackson himself is in it, and he plays, himself. He discovers the lost films of Colin Mackenzie and basically figures out the whole history of this unknown filmmaker who basically invented a lot of early technology in film, including the first dolly shot. He was the first to make a movie with sound and also created color film. All of his all of these discoveries that Colin McKenzie had done, basically rewriting the history of cinema. And the only reason why people did not know about Colin McKenzie back then is that even though he was really innovative in early film technology, he was also extremely unlucky. His first color film was banned because it had boobies in it, and so stuff like that. So it's pretty funny. It's a pretty funny movie, but it's played 1,000% straight.
Oh yeah.
Basically, the movie ended up in kind of a War of the Worlds kind of situation. The film first aired on Television New Zealand's channel TV1, and when it first aired, it was billed and introduced as a serious documentary. Many viewers were fooled until the director shortly afterwards revealed that it was all a hoax. This created quite a bit of controversy because there was a lot of angry viewers that wrote and complained to the network, gave out threats, all kinds of stuff. It caused quite a bit of upheaval there. I mean, and here's the thing: when you watch it, you would be convinced too. Like I said, it plays 1,000% straight. It all looks authentic. There's no winking at the camera at all in this, and if I was a native New Zealander and learned that this movie, this Colin McKenzie would have basically rewrote the history of New Zealand, and when it comes to cinema, and then found out it was fake, I'd probably be pretty pissed off too. The film, like I said, it plays 100% straight, but there is humor in the film, just in the fact that Colin McKenzie had such bad luck throughout his filmmaking career. The film was also co-directed by Costa Bates. Both Peter and Costa worked really hard to recreate the look of old worn film. The process of aging the fake film clips, the production team decided to avoid doing like post stuff, like putting in line scratches and crap like that, which they considered to be a bit too obvious and cliche. The crew spent a great deal of time running the film that they shot for the Colin McKenzie footage through dirt, rubbing dust on it, spitting on it, dragging it around on the floor of the basement of the processing lab facilities. Anything that they can do to beat it up to make it really to look real. Make those scratches and cracks and hairs and all that stuff 100% real instead of just doing post. I highly, highly recommend Forgotten Silver. Honestly, I don't know where you can find it. I don't know if it's ever been put on Blu-ray. I'm not sure if it's streaming. I have it on DVD, which at the time when it came out, this was way back in the day, like when Bad Taste first came out, because I think it came out around the same time on DVD, and it happened to catch my eye seeing Peter Jackson's name on it.
I know. I remember when you first found it and we watched it. Did we even know it wasn't real, or we were just like excited there was a Peter Jackson movie we didn't know about? Because I
think the
felt
whole
like we
time
fell
we
for
were
it.
kind of like looking at each other. It's like, is this real?
This can't be real, right?
Yeah.
But we're just so excited to have this new Peter Jackson film.
Exactly.
I remember it, man.
Yeah.
It was so good.
So again, I definitely recommend Forgotten Silver. Hopefully you can find it somewhere. To me, it's one of the best non-flinching mockumentaries that's ever been done, and will constantly, as you watch it, make you question whether or not it's real or fake. But there you go, Forgotten Silver for this episode's of Insane Picks.
Yahoo!
And that is it for this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Did it.
Yeah. So everybody out there listening, do you understand why now I chose 1959 for this episode's topic? Yeah, me neither. So thanks so much for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube channel and all the places that you listen to podcasts and whatnot. I don't know how the internet works.
It's so
also,
true.
like and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a review, all that fun stuff. We have a TikTok now. You can check out the stupid videos I'm doing on that. But thanks for listening. Oh, yeah, and become an attacker. So that's it. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next time. Bye.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Attack of the Killer.